The Capitol hearing room was unusually silent. Cameras hovered like vultures, their lenses fixed on the witness chair where Karoline Leavitt sat alone, calm, composed, and disturbingly still. Across from her, Congressman Adam Schiff adjusted his tie, feigning confidence. Yet behind his eyes there was a flicker of uncertainty, a veteran of countless hearings, now unsure of the battlefield ahead. This wasn't supposed to happen. Karoline hadn't been summoned. She had requested to testify. "I'm here today," she began, voice steady. "Not as a political actor, not as a staffer, but as a citizen who uncovered something dangerous." Schiff leaned forward. "Dangerous is a strong word. Are you prepared to present real evidence, Ms. Leavitt, or is this another partisan stunt?" "I'll let the facts decide," she replied. From her briefcase, she retrieved a series of printed documents, official headers, internal memos, heavily redacted. She placed them gently before her like a poker player laying down a royal flush. "I worked for Congressman Crane for 2 years. During that time, I received multiple intelligence briefings. One of them, in early 2024, included metadata from a classified NSA review. At first, I didn't understand its relevance, but over the months I noticed patterns, correspondences that traced back to this committee. Specifically, to you, Congressman Schiff." Gasps rippled through the gallery. Schiff's smile stiffened. "I have never," he began, but Karoline cut in, not harshly, just firmly. "I'm not accusing, I'm revealing." She tapped a small remote. Behind her, the screen lit up with a timeline. Meetings, dates, encrypted file transfers. Each point pulsed red. "I corroborated these entries with internal access logs. Your office was involved in drafting oversight memos to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court regarding an individual who had not yet been flagged by the NSA. The question is, how did your office know beforehand?" The air thickened. Even the cameras seemed to lean in closer. Schiff interjected, voice clipped. "You're making inferences from circumstantial metadata." "No," Karoline said. "I'm showing coordination where none should exist." From her stack, she pulled a final page, its top corner marked with a seal. "Confidential, eyes only." It was a routing slip, unsigned, time-stamped 1 hour before a known NSA surveillance directive. "I obtained this legally under whistleblower provisions," she clarified. "It's been authenticated. This directive bears internal syntax unique to your office's communication style. Linguistic forensics confirmed it." The room turned electric. Schiff leaned back, his composure fractured, ever so slightly. "You don't know what you're playing with." "I do now," she answered. "And so does the American public." Silence. Then a single camera light blinked red. Live. Every word had gone out to the nation. And this was just the beginning. Within hours, the Capitol was on fire, figuratively. News channels scrambled to replay the footage. Social media feeds flooded with hashtags, #Leavitt leaks, #Schiff knew, #Capitol whistleblower. Karoline's name trended alongside global headlines. But inside room 2141, the mood was anything but victorious. Congressman Schiff had called for a recess, but Karoline remained. Her fingers rested on the stack of documents like a soldier guarding classified weapons. She knew the storm had only begun. When the committee reconvened, the mood had shifted. New faces had joined, Representative Jamie Raskin, visibly tense, Representative Dan Crenshaw with a slight smirk, and Senator Josh Hawley, who wasn't even supposed to be there. Something unspoken had drawn them all in. Karoline's composure hadn't wavered, not even when Congressman Raskin leaned into the microphone. "Ms. Leavitt, are you aware that unauthorized dissemination of classified materials is a federal crime?" She didn't flinch. "I'm aware. I'm also aware that concealing surveillance abuses is a constitutional betrayal. You're accusing elected officials without formal clearance based on what you call linguistic forensics? That's not evidence. That's speculation wrapped in spreadsheets. Crenshaw interjected. But the metadata doesn't lie. If her timeline holds, it shows prior knowledge. Someone leaked a target before they were legally flagged. That's beyond speculation. A murmur of surprise stirred the room. Karoline glanced at Crenshaw. No smile, just a nod of unexpected solidarity. Schiff, meanwhile, had recovered his political footing. He adjusted his mic and spoke directly to the cameras now. This is performance theater. We're allowing a former staffer who, I remind everyone, has political ambitions of her own, to hijack a formal intelligence oversight hearing with a conspiracy fantasy. Karoline leaned in. If I wanted theater, I would have gone on cable news. I came here under oath. And who gave you access to these files? Schiff snapped. She answered without hesitation. The files were accessed through proper whistleblower channels. But the pattern, what I found, was open for anyone paying attention. You were just betting no one would. Then she paused, turned to the screen behind her, and with a single click, summoned a new slide, an audio file. The voice that played next stopped the room cold. Need to ensure the package is sent to Schiff's team before the NSA intercept. They'll sanitize the timeline. It was scratchy, distant, but unmistakably from an encrypted phone line. The timestamp matched one of the key moments in her timeline. Raskin turned pale. Crenshaw leaned forward. Schiff froze. Where did you get this? He asked. The voice belongs to a former intermediary for the FISC liaison team, Karoline said. He's cooperating, and this audio was obtained lawfully under the Intelligence Community Whistleblower Protection Act. You're lying, Schiff whispered. No, Karoline replied. You're just used to no one fighting back. The room fell silent. Outside, protesters gathered. On one side, chants of "Justice for Leavitt" echoed across the National Mall. On the other, counter chants, "Protect the process. Defend democracy." Inside, Karoline remained in her chair, breathing slowly, knowing that every second longer she sat there, more of Washington began to tremble. This wasn't about her anymore. It was about what came next. By nightfall, the Capitol was under siege. Not by mobs, but by silence. A kind of suffocating stillness where aides spoke in whispers, and even the boldest journalists waited outside committee doors like children at a locked cathedral. Karoline sat alone in a holding room just beyond the chamber. Her phone, confiscated. Her notes, sealed. Yet she looked more resolved than rattled. This wasn't fear. This was calculation. In the hallway, Senator Josh Hawley and Congressman Dan Crenshaw stood in low conversation, both facing away from the press. Crenshaw was the first to break. She's not bluffing. She better not be, Hawley replied. Because if that audio trace is real and that timeline holds, we're not looking at just procedural abuse. We're looking at obstruction. Schiff will bury it. They always do. They'll claim it's incomplete. Question chain of custody. Let them, Hawley said coldly. That girl just gave America a window. We either push it open or let it slam shut. Inside the hearing chamber, Chairman Schiff returned to the bench, flanked by counsel. Cameras now rolled from multiple angles. C-SPAN, CNN. Even Fox had broken away from prime time. No more cutting to commercial. This was the commercial. Karoline was called back. This time, the tone had shifted. Less interrogation, more defense. Schiff was careful, cautious, his words threaded with plausible deniability. You've made several claims, Ms. Leavitt, that, if taken out of context, could suggest impropriety, but oversight by its nature involves ambiguity. You're interpreting intent from fragments. That's not criminality. Karoline adjusted the microphone. Then let's remove the ambiguity. A screen behind her flickered. Another document. This time, not metadata. It was a routing slip. NSA to House Intel Committee, marked urgent, time-stamped 2 days before the official FISA request date for a surveillance warrant tied to a journalist known to be critical of the administration. "It's not the data that's ambiguous," Karoline said. "It's the silence around it." Raskin leaned in, visibly shaken. "This document, this shouldn't be in your possession." "It isn't," she replied coolly. "It's public, hidden in a declassified archive, mislabeled under agricultural policy codes. You just never looked." A moment of dead air. Schiff reached for water, but didn't sip. Across the aisle, Crenshaw smiled slightly, as if watching a trapdoor spring open beneath a magician. Then came the pivot. "We're moving to subpoena the communications records of the House Intelligence Committee," announced Represser Thomas Massey, who had joined via video link. Effective immediately. Chaos erupted. Democrats objected. Republicans shouted them down. The committee fractured like glass under pressure. Cameras pivoted. Reporters ran screaming into the halls, waving their phones like swords. Karoline didn't move. She didn't have to. Her job was done. Outside, protesters multiplied. What started as a crowd of hundreds had grown into thousands. The Lincoln Memorial lights cast long shadows over handmade signs. "Truth has no party. Declassify everything. Justice for the silenced." Inside a nearby van, a CNN producer turned to her anchor. "We may need to prep a primetime slot. This isn't a story anymore. This is the story." And in a sealed office 6 floors above, Congressman Schiff made a call, a private line, his voice low, sharp. "She's coordinated. This isn't just a leak, it's an operation." On the other end, the voice replied, "Then treat it like one." That night, Karoline left the Capitol under escort, but not from law enforcement, from Crenshaw and Hawley themselves. Their presence wasn't symbolic. It was a warning. A war was coming. And the girl with the files had just fired the first shot. The next morning, the country woke up to a different kind of America. Not one divided by party lines, but by a new fault line. Those who believed Karoline Leavitt and those who feared her. The story detonated across the networks. Fox News hailed her as a whistleblower of integrity. MSNBC questioned the legality of her disclosures. The New York Times ran an editorial titled, "When Transparency Turns Tactical." But it was the public, not the press, that truly caught fire. Red state truck stops and blue state bookstores alike buzzed with one name: Karoline. No last name necessary. Her testimony had gone viral, dissected in TikTok threads, Telegram forums, and subreddits that hadn't agreed on anything since the pandemic. She was trending not just in English. Hashtags in Portuguese, Farsi, Hindi. One video from Poland called her the Joan of Arc of metadata. But in D.C., the mood was darker. Adam Schiff convened a closed-door strategy meeting. Phones surrendered at the door. Panic was a poor cologne, and every man in that room reeked of it. "She's a plant," one aide said. "No way she accessed that routing slip alone." "Doesn't matter," Schiff muttered. "The damage is done. We need containment before this turns into hearings about the hearings." Meanwhile, across the city, Karoline was ushered into a small, high-security room in the Library of Congress, one of the few places still considered neutral ground. Waiting for her, Senator Josh Hawley, Dan Crenshaw, and a surprise addition, Senator Kyrsten Sinema, politically unpredictable and precisely why she was included. "We're proposing a new commission," Hawley said. "Nonpartisan. Oversight of oversight. You'd be the face." "I'm not interested in being anyone's symbol," Karoline replied. "I'm interested in finishing what I started." Crenshaw leaned forward. "You already lit the fire. This is about steering it before it burns the Constitution." But Karoline didn't flinch. "You think I want to steer the fire? Number, I want to burn down the curtain. Let people see what's behind it. For real this time." Sinema chuckled under her breath. "God, I like her." That night, as Congress tried to regroup, Karoline uploaded one final file. Not to a secure cloud, not to a legal authority. She released it directly to the public, a 42-minute audio clip, unedited, uncompressed, a round-table discussion, time-stamped weeks before her testimony. Voices identified: Adam Schiff, Jamie Raskin, a senior DNC data analyst, and a former NSA advisor. Topic: how to delay, distort, and redirect metadata leaks from within House intelligence staff. The final voice on the tape? Jamie Raskin. We don't need to bury the data. We just need to discredit the messenger before the drop. Too late. Within hours, the White House press secretary was cornered on the South Lawn. Reporters shouted over one another. Does the administration condemn or commend Karoline Leavitt's disclosures? Is a special counsel being appointed? Is Adam Schiff stepping down? Silence. And then, finally, a reply. The president supports transparency and accountability, full stop, which said everything, and nothing. The next day, Adam Schiff resigned from the House Intelligence Committee in order to prevent further politicization of its mission. Jamie Raskin suspended his committee role pending review. The DNC issued a terse statement. Any effort to distort truth, even under the banner of justice, is unacceptable. But the people weren't looking to the parties anymore. They were looking to Karoline. She returned home quietly, to the same small New Hampshire town she left a year ago. No press, no parade, just a porch light on. But that didn't stop the messages. Letters, thousands, some threats, most prayers. One envelope had no return address, just a handwritten note. When the world screamed at you to be quiet, you spoke. That's what history remembers, not those who whispered. There was no signature. She folded it carefully, slid it into her desk drawer, and then, for the first time in weeks, she slept. Not because the war was over, but because the next battle would find her soon enough, and when it did, she'd be ready.